Hey guys, sorry there haven't been a lot of videos. Due to Thanksgiving, I've been spending a lot of time with my family, and don't worry, more videos are coming soon. So stay tuned for more content. Also have a lot of cool research papers to talk to you guys about. I've been reading a whole bunch of them. Hey guys, sorry I haven't been doing a lot of videos over Thanksgiving break. This video is being recorded on November 29th, 2015. Let's get started. So a quick Ansel rant. Ansel left a whole bunch of like nutshells and plastic wrappings and stuff on the floor, which is just a pleasure to step on, while you're just walking around doing stuff. There's a little like piece of a black trash bag, and behind the door there's like a pistachio nut and like a little green wrapper. Just like random garbage just thrown around for no reason. Speaking of the bathroom, right here, you can tell that the toilet paper was used and the roll was actually taken off the peg, but then was placed behind the peg. I don't know what purpose that serves. Why not just keep it on the peg? If you're not going to throw it away, you didn't really do anything. That has no purpose. There's nothing that does. Over here, he just has a whole bunch of food just laid out. You may be like, oh, well, who cares? It's just a bunch of food. If I zoom out just for perspective, this is the bathroom. This is where you wash your hands at the sink and everything. And then here's like all this food, and we have a kitchen where we have pantries that people are not using for real. And you're just not putting the food in the pantry. They're just here for no reason. Speaking of it like being the bathroom, here's a little pile of Ansel's hair right there. Yeah, and that's just there for some reason. And then here's everything I own. That's my soap bottle. That's 2 of my towels. That's all I have that's in this bathroom area. And you got all of Ansel's food over here. And these used hand towels of Ansel's that are just stacked up on the sink for no reason. I see no purpose of why they're not like in a dirty clothes pile or anything. I don't know why he just left all that hair for like no reason. Let's see. He also has this buggy that's from Michael's, and it's always in the way. So let's see. Oh, there's no light for this pantry area. So I'm going to turn up the brightness on my computer. Yeah, and here's the buggy. And it's filled with a bunch of his clothes. And he likes to put it in the middle of this hallway. So I decided to put it in here, in this space, in that pantry. Speaking of which, if his food was in this pantry, I wouldn't care for real. You can't see the pantry. No one really uses this pantry for anything. Perfectly fine for him to just put his food there. But that basket, which you guys are probably having trouble seeing on the camera, normally sits right here, in this space in front of my room, where I live. He just puts it here so that when I gotta get out of my room, it's just in the way. And the last time I had to move his buggy, it had like this weird, gross, slimy stuff on it. I have no idea what it was. Immediately afterwards, took a shower. That was weird. Let's see. And speaking of shower, if we look in here, I'm not sure if I already ranted about this or not, but just in case, Ansel, while I was gone, took the time to pull the hair out of the drain, and then placed his hair that he pulled out of the drain just next to the drain instead of throwing it away. So he took the time and the effort to take the hair out, but then didn't throw the hair away. Which is a shame. Speaking of shame, earlier when I looked in this pantry to show you guys the buggy, I forgot to mention, because I didn't notice it until now. You guys can't see it clearly, but there are like some boxes next to the buggy, and those boxes are boxes that I asked Ansel to throw away before I went to Thanksgiving break, and he told me he'd throw them away. Mid-Thanksgiving break, I came back to the dorm real quick. I had to pick up something, and the boxes were still here in front of the sink, which was an inconvenience just in general for using the sink. And when I came back and saw them thrown away, I was like, wow, I'm glad he threw them away. He didn't. He just put them in the pantry. They're empty boxes. They have no use to anyone. They're just there. It's random. Makes no sense. So that was a quick Ansel rant. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content. Hey guys, I've been tracking what I've been doing since I got back from campus, and in the last 1, 2, 3, that's 1 hour, 1, 2, 3, that's the other hour. So like in the last 2.5 hours, I've done push-ups, showered, got dressed, and prepared everything for tomorrow. Vlogged a little bit. Studied 151 psychology flashcards out of 534. I watched 14 minutes of Gintama because commercials prevented me from watching all of it within a 20-minute period. And then I studied 161 psychology flashcards, which means I only have 217 to go. The reason why I'm studying so many psychology flashcards at once is because the final is going to be coming up. So this is my final preparation, which is going to be a total of these 534 flashcards being studied multiple times up to the point of the final. So I've been splitting up my time into 20-minute segments, doing things within a 20-minute time limit, and then as soon as the 20 minutes is up, to keep it fresh, I switched to something else. While I was on Thanksgiving break, I didn't really do a lot of school-related stuff at all. I did my 2 English assignments, and that was it. No studying. I had no class to go to. I had no more notes to take, and I had no more assignments to do. So all I had to do was study, and that is like the one thing I did not do. I did not study during that period at all. I wanted to have a break, and I didn't vlog either. I just kind of hung out with the family. So yeah, I'm going to keep splitting my time into 20-minute segments, getting as much done as I can, and you guys stay tuned for more content. Yo guys, Gintama is pretty interesting. It is an anime about this dude who is named Gin, and he has this odd jobs shop, so he does odd jobs for people, but he never seems to get paid or really do the jobs correctly. He hangs out with this one guy who is the son of a samurai, but samurais don't matter anymore because aliens took over. And now aliens coexist with people, but they forced a sword ban after the samurais lost the war because the aliens have much more advanced technology. So no one can carry swords anymore except for the Shinsengumi, which are like the armed police force. And samurais are useless. So he was out of a job, so he started working with Gin at his odd jobs place. And then there was this super strong alien girl who was living on the streets, but she was picked up by the Yakuza, and she likes to eat a lot, and she was like their muscle until she decided that that's not what she wanted to do, and now she also works with Gin, and she has like this big ass dog. I thought it was a cat until the episode that I'm currently watching where I realized it's a dog. It was this big ass dog, and he likes to bite people a lot. And yeah, they all hang out and they all try and do odd jobs, and there's action. A lot of it is comedy. It's very self-referential and it's very meta. They know the fact that they're in an anime and they reference it quite often. So it's rather interesting. I'm digging Gintama, and apparently it gets more serious over time. There are parts that are pretty serious because the main underlying theme is like, what is the true way? Should you follow the Bushido code or something like that? And the moral is that you should follow your own code. You should have your own values. You should protect what is valuable to you. So that's like the moral. And the show seems to be continually running, but from what I read, it ended in like 2010, and there are almost like 300 episodes. So I'm going to watch some Gintama, and I'm thinking about watching Asterisk War. That caught my attention. I haven't watched it yet, but the premise seems to be there's this giant battle tournament, and the winner of the tournament gets to have like a wish granted. So it's kind of like how Dragon Ball Z, everybody was after the Dragon Balls to get their wish granted, and then in the middle of Dragon Ball Z they would like battle in tournaments and stuff like that. And this connects both of those elements together, so you can skip a lot of filler. Like if Asterisk War is really good, you'll have characters that you follow throughout the tournament, and you're rooting for them to win, and then new characters will be introduced that have interesting abilities that will become friends with the main characters, and they battle through the tournament to the point where they get to the end, and we get to see not only who's chosen, but what their wish will be, and also how their wish has changed from the beginning to the end after the course of their story. That's what would make Asterisk War really good. And it looks like it'll be good, and also they have holographic weapons, which is awesome. So I'm going to make sure I check that out as well. So anyways, that's enough anime talk for now. You guys stay tuned for more content. Hey guys, Amazon has this thing, and I think it's called Amazon Story Writer, but it's essentially a free application that you can use right now online, and if you have a Chromebook or Google Chrome, you can get an application that allows you to use it offline. Essentially, it allows you to write a script without knowing how to format a script, because it automatically formats itself as you write it. And you're able to submit scripts for children's shows, dramas, and I think romance is the third option, but I'm not sure. I'm going to have to double check that. But you can submit all your scripts to Amazon Studios. They have an open submission policy, and you don't have to worry about formatting because their application takes care of formatting for you. You can submit as many scripts as you want into the different categories, and if they choose your script for development, you can get a contract with Amazon Studios. I find this to be a really awesome idea. It will allow for way more people to get into the field of professional script writing, and it will make script writing easier for everyone. So I find it to be a win-win for everybody involved. I'm planning on writing scripts and submitting them for Amazon Studios. Speaking of doing different business opportunities, during Thanksgiving break, I made 3 different business models, all based around different ideas. I found Teespring, which is a website that lets you design shirts, and you launch a campaign where you're like, I want to sell so many shirts at this price, and you can do it for charity or you can do it just to sell shirts. But Teespring essentially gives you the tools to design your shirt. You could design a custom design within Teespring without having to use anything from outside of Teespring, and then launch your shirt design, and they take care of literally everything else. So you launch your campaign, people buy your shirts, you get paid for the shirts that are sold. They are in charge of delivering your shirts and managing orders and everything like that. So it's really different from a lot of other things. Like Fiverr, if you had like a gig where you sold shirts, you could have a shirt design and you put it up and someone orders it, but then you would have to like print the shirt yourself, package it, send it, and you have to worry about like how long does that take, is the person on the other line satisfied with their product. Customer satisfaction is all through like Teespring, like they have guarantees and everything that they do. They're the ones who send it out, they're the ones who manage the orders. They just tell me when an order is made, but I don't do anything. That's what's cool about Teespring. So through Teespring, anyone can become a t-shirt designer or hoodie designer. They also do hoodies. And through Amazon Studios Story Writer, anyone can become a screenplay writer or script writer for a series or film. So that opens up a large number of business opportunities, not to mention Fiverr, which I've already talked about on the show, is a good way for people to start gigs for a variety of different services and just get started. So business starting tools are booming. I'd really like to see more business modeling based websites. I know the basics of business model generation, and that's what I've been making my business models based off of, but it'd be really cool if there was a free website where you could design and share business models. I'm sure this exists, I just simply haven't found it. If you found one, post about it in the comment section below, and stay tuned for more content. Hey guys, I've got to play around with Project Spark a little bit, and here are my thoughts. Project Spark is pretty cool if you want to make a Fable clone. If you want to make games that are not Fable clones, Project Spark can be used for that too, but Fable clones are the easiest thing for you to make on Project Spark. Okay, the biggest downsides for me when it comes to Project Spark is making a game end. Making a game end satisfactorily, like in a way where you'd be like, yeah, like that's how I would end a game, is way harder than it should be. Little Big Planet had an object that you could put in the game. It was a pre-made object, and it automatically would create like a high score list. It would satisfy the player for playing with like a congratulations kind of setup, and then it would end the game. And that object was like a pre-made object that was in everybody's inventory. You would get it at the very beginning of the game, and that's how you end games. Really simple idea, not hard to do. Project Spark does not have that. Project Spark does have instructions on how to program an end for your game, but what it really needs is just like a base object that exists. and its whole purpose is that when the player interacts with this object, the game is over. That needs to be a thing. I don't know why that's not a thing. That should be a thing. Project Spark is a really cool creation tool. I like the graphics on Xbox One way better than on PC. PC, you're going to get like a high downgrade. And yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about Project Spark. It's a very cool and creative tool, especially if you want to make a Fable clone. If you want to make something that's not a Fable clone, more power to you. I think something that would probably be way better for you would be Dreams for PS4. And I haven't even played Dreams, and I can already tell you why I would prefer it. Number one, Dreams doesn't worry about having a brain and programming things. So what does that mean? In Project Spark, if you want anything to do anything, you got to go into its brain, and then you program all this logic, and then based on the logic is how the different objects interact with the world and one another. If you work with Dreams, you have essentially a bunch of puppets, and then you can animate those puppets and they'll do their animation, and then you can possess those puppets and control them as if they're characters. And the whole point of everybody's dream is for you to get to the area that has like this glowing light that teleports you to the next dream. So you can make the level whatever you want, but you already have like an end goal in mind to whatever your level is. And then you don't have to worry about all this visual programming. You just kind of build puppets and you build objects, and then there's already kind of a way for them to interact with each other. It's really simple. Dreams is simple but can become immensely complex, and I can't look at Dreams and automatically say like, this would be great for making Fable clones, I don't know what else you would do with it. With Dreams, you could essentially do whatever you wanted with it, whether it was like a game of checkers or some kind of action adventure fighter game with your friends where you like explore. You know, it can be whatever you want. And that's what I like about Dreams versus Project Spark. What do you guys think? Post in the comment section below and stay tuned for more content. So let's see. In the last 1, 2, 3, that's 1 hour, 1, 2, 3, second hour. Okay, in the last 2 hours and 20 minutes, I've logged and researched Sigilverse. I've finished episode 10 of Gintama. I've watched 4 minutes of Game Grumps, studied 180 psychology flashcards with 37 to go. Then I finished the Game Grumps Super Mario Galaxy finale. I finished the psychology flashcards, so that's all 534 flashcards studied. And I watched 11 minutes and 53 seconds of Astrus War Episode 2. I decided to skip Episode 1. It was rated 4.5 stars. Episode 2 was rated a full 5 stars. I've noticed that a lot of people like to watch shows in chronological order, but they can't give me a good reason on why they do it. For example, Game of Thrones, people say you have to get into the characters, and then once you get really into the characters, as the story develops, and it gets more awesome as it goes. But what it sounds like is that if the characters are as awesome as you say they are, and the story gets better in the future, why wouldn't you just watch the future episodes? For example, Steven Universe is a great show, where I say at the beginning it seems really kiddie, but more interesting elements are introduced as you go forward. But if you actually watch Steven Universe from the middle backwards, which is what I did, I picked some point in the middle of Steven Universe and I went back, you get all the really interesting stuff at the very beginning, and then as you move backwards, you can see how it's been foreshadowing to that really interesting stuff. You can see the build-up, and it shows how clever the writer is, and that's where the enjoyment can come from in episodes where it seemed like more dumbed down. You can see that all that dumbed down was just setup. Like, you already got the payoff, but you get additional payoff from seeing how it was built. And I feel that that is a worthy way to watch it. And then after I went from the middle backwards, I went from the middle forward in Steven Universe, and now I have all the background knowledge, but I didn't have to sit through a bunch of stuff that I would have felt was relatively boring to get to payoff. You start with the payoff, and then you build backwards, which is still paying off because now you're getting context, and you're getting context with like small little elements the writer's positioned here and there to get you to that middle point. And then once all that context is established, you can jump back to right after that middle point, and then you're set. You found a part in the story that you would enjoy and can move forward from. I actually recommend people watch shows like that so that you can get the most out of the show. Like, if I wasn't watching Game of Thrones with a group of friends, watching it straightforward like this would have already turned me off of Game of Thrones. You have to get me at a part that's really interesting, and then you can work me backwards, and then I can go forward. But I can't go to a really interesting part and then jump back to the first episode and watch it forward, because that's stupid too. If I've already gotten to that level of payoff, I need to move backwards, and I'll appreciate the older episodes more because I know they lead up to the really cool part that I saw. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that, and that's what I've been up to for the last 2 hours and 20 minutes. So you guys stay tuned for more content. Hey guys, okay, so I've spent a really long time researching Amazon Studios and figuring out what I'm going to do for that. I found out that they not only have a story writer, but a story builder. The story builder lets you work out all your ideas in a storyboard using different cards to work out like Act 1, Act 2. And I played with the story builder and made a really quick story, an Act 1 of a story. It's actually funny. I was planning on starting like right in an action part where the main character is going to like begin their quest, but because of the fact that I want my story to be silent, what I ended up doing is I kept adding little Easter egg bits within the story so that when the character was to look at them or they were to be in the shot, it would explain a lot just from seeing it rather than having to like have a detailed scene. And then I ended up making a detailed scene anyways to try and explain those Easter eggs, but make that scene silent as well. So it continually builds off of trying to create imagery with words that then would be converted into like an animation or a film that could convey these ideas without having to straight up say these ideas. Now I've decided that I don't really want to work on a script, and that if I want to work on a children's series, that not being said as like a children's series for like really little kids, but a children's series maybe for like older children, closer to like 13, like teenage, but not like super teenage. Like a 15-year-old may not like it necessarily. I'm thinking about doing a superhero series, and I found that if you work on a children's show, it's actually the easiest thing to submit to Amazon. It is a 2 to 6 page mini Bible where you detail different information about like the characters, the settings, the main story, where the story is going, whether or not it's a serial or if each episode is kind of like a standalone adventure. And you also have to detail like 5 or 6 ideas for episodes, just ideas for how episodes would go. So that is way easier than writing a script, because it seems like to write a script you already have to have all those ideas in mind. So this is a good way to set up essentially an outline, but the outline is the entire submission. So that's awesome. I'm going to get to work on that later though. It is 11:09 and I have class tomorrow. So yeah, you guys stay tuned for more content.